Admiral Tarler Varnock snarled. "Unleash the barrage. Let's carve their sky into ash." His voice sliced through the bridge of the Crimson Ascendant, a jagged-edged blade of authority that made the officers snap to attention. The flagship shuddered as its cannons swiveled, their barrels glowing with pent-up fury, primed to rain annihilation on Earth below. Beyond the curved viewport, the solar system sprawled in stark clarity. Earth's pale blue orb dangled like a bruised fruit, ripe for the plucking. Varnock's scarred face twisted into a sneer, the old wound from a human railgun tugging at his lip as he savored the moment. After a decade of skirmishes, the Hegemony's armada had cornered its prey. The air inside the bridge carried a sharp tang of sweat and scorched circuits, a gritty aroma that clung to the tongue. Officers clinked crystalline goblets, their amber liquor sloshing as they toasted the end of humanity's defiance. "To the Empire's unyielding might," one bellowed, his voice thick with bravado. Varnock didn't join them. His boots thudded against the deck as he paced, the rhythmic clank a counterpoint to the distant whine of charging weapon coils. His eyes, dark as quenched steel, flicked to the laser plasma display hovering before him. It painted Earth's defenses in flickering red. Crumbling orbital platforms, dented frigates limping on sputtering drives. A child's toys against the Hegemony's sleek warships, their hulls glinting like predatory scales under Sol's light. "They dared to defy us with junk," Varnock muttered, his tone a slow burn of disdain. He leaned closer to the display, the faint heat of its projection brushing his skin. Fusion torches and slug throwers, pathetic. The fleet tightened its grip, a noose of destroyers and cruisers weaving into formation, their shadows stretching across Earth's atmosphere like claws. He imagined the humans below, scurrying in their concrete warrens, their defiance a candle flame about to be snuffed. The thought coiled in his chest, heavy as iron, a weight of inevitability that fueled his contempt. A junior officer, Kleiss, hunched over a console, her fingers dancing across a heads-up display. Her brow furrowed as a single amber dot pulsed near Neptune's orbit. A gravitational shimmer, fleeting as a whisper. "Sir, an anomaly," she began, her voice a hesitant thread. Varnock whirled, his glare pinning her like a specimen. "Cosmic dust," he snapped, cutting her off. "Focus on the target, not shadows." Kleiss shrank back, her protest swallowed, the blip forgotten amidst the bridge's clamor. The scent of her unease lingered, a faint whiff of doubt drowned by the crew's swelling confidence. Varnock turned to his comms officer, a wiry figure named Drace. "Broadcast the ultimatum," he ordered, his words grinding like stone on stone. Drace nodded, his fingers flicking switches with a crisp snap. A channel crackled open, and Varnock's voice boomed, laced with venom. "People of Earth, your time bleeds out. Surrender now, or we'll scour your cities to cinders. Choose swiftly. Your graves await." The transmission cut, leaving a silence that buzzed in the ears, sharp and electric. He pictured the humans trembling, their leaders scrambling for words, and a cruel satisfaction flared in his gut, warm as a stoked ember. The bridge erupted in cheers, a raucous wave that rattled the walls. Goblets clashed again, spilling droplets that gleamed like molten gold under the lights. Varnock allowed himself a thin smile, his scar stretching taut. He strode to the viewport, the glass cool against his knuckles as he pressed them there, gazing at Earth's fragile curve. The fleet's cannons whined louder, a rising chorus of destruction, their barrels now searing white-hot. Beyond, the stars glittered. indifferent witnesses to the Hegemony's triumph. The moment felt like a predator's jaws closing, slow, deliberate, unstoppable. Yet, out in the void, those faint spikes near Neptune flickered again, unnoticed. A junior tech wiped sweat from his brow, the salt stinging his eyes as he dismissed the glitch. The bridge thrummed with energy, a living beast eager to strike. Varnok's mind drifted to the wars he'd won, the worlds he'd broken. Earth would be another trophy, a footnote in his legacy. He tapped the viewport, the sound a dull ping, and murmured, "Your silence is your surrender." The fleet surged closer, a tide of gleaming death, their shadows swallowing Earth's light. Cleis glanced at her console again, the amber dot pulsing faster now, a heartbeat in the dark. She bit her lip, tasting copper, but said nothing. Drace adjusted his headset, the leather creaking against his ear, and relayed firing coordinates with a steady drone. The air grew thick, laden with the bite of overheated wiring and the musk of anticipation. Varnok's chest swelled, his breath a slow rasp, as he envisioned Earth's surface erupting in fire. Cities reduced to smoking husks, a testament to his will. The cannons locked, their glow bathing the bridge in a harsh glare. Officers grinned, their teeth flashing like blades. Varnok raised a hand, poised to signal the barrage, his pulse a steady thud in his veins. The fleet hung there, a coiled serpent, its fangs bared. Beyond the viewport, Earth loomed, silent and still, a lamb before the slaughter. Or so he believed. That lone blip near Neptune flared once more, a final ignored warning, as the Hegemony's victory seemed to solidify, a mountain casting its shadow over a doomed world. But shadows can deceive, and mountains can crumble. The fleet's revelry peaked, a cacophony of laughter and clinking glass, while the void held its breath. Varnok's hand hovered, the order trembling on his lips, the taste of triumph sharp and bitter on his tongue. The stage was set, the curtain about to fall. Yet something unseen sharpened its claws in the dark, waiting to rend the script apart. "Launch the Titans! Rip their arrogance to shreds!" Captain Drakon Syros barked, his voice a whip crack that jolted the command hub into motion. Inside a dimensional pocket near Saturn, a jagged tear in space-time stitched shut by human ingenuity, his wiry frame leaned over a laser plasma display, steel-gray eyes glinting with cold resolve. The air thrummed with a bitter tang of recycled oxygen, laced with the faint bite of solder from overworked consoles. Beyond the hub's reinforced walls, 12 dreadnoughts flickered into reality, their kilometer-long hulls peeling free of cloaking fields like specters shedding veils. Cyros's lips twitched, a ghost of a smile, as he watched the Hegemony fleet, poised above Earth, cannons blazing with smug certainty, stumble into his trap. The hub vibrated, a deep shudder rippling through the deck as gravitic reactors flared to life. Syros inhaled the dry, static-charged air, tasting the weight of a decade's labor on his tongue. He remembered the wrecks they'd scavenged. Hegemony hulks cracked open like eggs, their secrets pried loose by human hands. Engineers had fused alien tech with Earth's innovations, forging these behemoths, Prometheus, Hyperion, and 10 others, named for titans who defied gods. Their cores pulsed, a rhythmic thud felt in his bones, as crews trained in relentless simulations now gripped controls slick with sweat. His fingers brushed the edge of the display, its warmth prickling his skin, and he murmured, "They thought us broken. Let's teach them otherwise." On the heads-up display, the Hegemony armada tightened its chokehold around Earth, their sleek warships gleaming under Sol's glare. Cyros's gaze narrowed, tracking their formation. A predator's jaws snapping shut, just as Varnok's ultimatum had promised. The blip near Neptune, that gravitational shimmer Varnok's crew had ignored, swelled now into a storm of energy signatures as the Dreadnoughts surged forward. Their hulls warped light, bending shadows into eerie distortions, a sight that prickled the hairs on Cyros's neck. "Tachyon lances, full spread," he ordered, his tone steady as granite. The command hub bristled with activity. Officers relayed coordinates, their voices clipped and urgent, while the scent of overheated circuits stung the nostrils. The ambush erupted. Beams of tachyon light speared from the Dreadnoughts, silent and lethal, slicing through the Hegemony's rear guard. Cyros watched the display as a cruiser buckled, its hull splitting like overripe fruit, molten debris spraying outward in glittering arcs. Fireballs bloomed soundlessly, their glow searing his retinas, while fragments scattered like shattered glass across the void. Hegemony comms crackled through the hub's speakers, a frantic cacophony of shouts and static. "What hit us?" "Rear lines gone." Their panic a jagged melody that curled Cyros's lips. The Dreadnoughts pressed forward, relentless as a tide, their silence a stark contrast to the chaos they wrought. Lieutenant Mara Vex, a lean figure at the tactical station, swiped at her console, her breath fogging briefly in the chilled air. "They're scrambling, sir. Formations fracturing," she reported, her words sharp but measured. Cyros nodded, his mind a chessboard, each move calculated. "Keep them guessing," he replied, his voice low, carrying the weight of unspoken plans. "This is just the opening gambit." Mara's fingers danced across the controls, redirecting Hyperion to flank a fleeing destroyer, its lances carving through armor like a blade through silk. The deck jolted again, a faint groan echoing as the dimensional rift flexed, a reminder of their precarious perch. Cyros's thoughts flickered to the years of secrecy, hiding these ships not from pride, but necessity. The Hegemony's arrogance was a tool, a lure to draw them close, but something darker loomed beyond this fight. He pushed the notion aside, focusing on the display as another Hegemony frigate erupted, its crew vaporized mid-transmission, their final screams swallowed by the void. The air grew heavy, thick with the musk of exertion and the faint whiff of burning insulation, as the hub's systems strained under the onslaught's data flood. His pulse thumped steadily, a drumbeat beneath his calm exterior as he gauged the enemy's confusion. The Dreadnoughts wove through the wreckage, their forms shimmering like mirages, elusive and deadly. Cyros leaned closer to the display, its light casting harsh shadows across his face, and traced the Hegemony's faltering lines. Varnok's flagship, the Crimson Ascendant, loomed at the center, its cannons still spitting defiance. "He'll rally them soon," Cyros muttered, more to himself than Mara. But not soon enough. The thought hung there, a blade poised to fall, as he envisioned the next strike. Something to twist the knife deeper, to keep the Hegemony reeling. A faint tremor shook the hub, the rift's edges fraying like torn fabric, and Cyros's jaw tightened. The Dreadnoughts were a marvel, but their power came at a cost. Unstabilized tech, untested limits. He brushed a hand through his cropped hair, feeling the dampness of exertion, and exhaled a slow, deliberate breath. The display flared as Prometheus unleashed a second volley, shredding a Hegemony corvette into a cloud of glowing slag. The sight was a jolt, a surge of adrenaline that sharpened his senses, Yet he knew this was merely the spark. Whatever waited beyond this clash, beyond Varnok's crumbling fleet, gnawed at him, a shadow yet unnamed. Mara glanced at him, her eyes catching the display's glow. "They didn't see us coming," she said, a hint of awe threading her voice. Cyros's gaze hardened. "They won't see the rest either," he replied, his words a promise edged with steel. The dreadnoughts surged again, their lances painting the void with streaks of ruin, while the Hegemony's cries grew shriller, a flock of prey scattering before wolves. The hub pulsed with life, a heartbeat of defiance as Cyros stood poised at its center, calm, unyielding, and guarding secrets that would soon unravel the galaxy's fragile weave. "Evasive spin, now!" Lieutenant Zoran Thal shouted, his voice cutting through the Iron Fang's bridge like a jagged shard. The destroyer lurched, its deck tilting as thrusters flared, dodging a plasma lance that scorched the void where they'd been. Thal's boots scraped the floor, the friction biting his soles, while the air thickened with the sour tang of fear-soaked sweat. Beyond the viewport, Earth's dreadnoughts tore through the Hegemony fleet, their Tachyon beams slashing ships into glowing wrecks. The chaos from Cyros's ambush still burned. Frigates crumbled, debris spun like deadly confetti, and Varnok's orders crackled over the comms, sharp and fraying. "Reform the lines. Hit them with antimatter." Thal, young and wiry, gripped his console, fingers trembling as he watched a cruiser erupt in a silent fireball, its crew snuffed out in a blink. The Iron Fang shuddered, the walls groaning under strain, and the bitter whiff of charred wiring stung his nose. "Torpedoes won't dent them, sir," he yelled into his headset, voice raw. Varnok's growl snapped back. "Then find me something that will, Thal, or we're ash." The Admiral's flagship, the Crimson Ascendant, loomed ahead, its hull scarred but defiant, spitting volleys that fizzled against the dreadnought's rippling shields. Squinting at the laser plasma display, Thal spotted a flicker, an energy wake trailing the human ships, a thread of light in the dark. "Got you," he muttered, diving into the sensor array's guts. His hands flew, rewiring circuits with a hiss of sparking leads, the heat searing his fingertips. "Their shields bleed power. Overloads might crack them," he said, half to himself. He patched through to Varnok. "Sir, we overload our fusion drives. EMP wave could fry their systems." A tense pause, then Varnok barked, "Do it. All ships, kamikaze runs, buy him time." The fleet shifted, desperation fueling their fight. Destroyers plunged toward the dreadnoughts, engines blazing white-hot before detonating in blinding supernovae. Each blast a thunderclap felt through the Iron Fang's frame. Thal's ears rang, the vibrations rattling his teeth as decoy drones streaked out, buzzing like wasps to scramble Earth's targeting. A plasma barrage grazed their hull, the deck glowing cherry red, and he tasted bile as the ship veered, thrusters screaming in protest. "Hold steady," he snapped at Ensign Core, a stocky figure at the helm, whose grunts of effort blended with the clatter of controls. On the display, the EMP plan unfolded. 3 frigates ignited their drives, erupting in a pulsing wave that washed over a dreadnought. Its shields flickered, its lances stuttering for a moment. Thal's chest tightened, hope flaring, but the behemoth adjusted, its hull shimmering as it shrugged off the assault. "They're adapting," he whispered, voice hoarse. Varnok roared over the comms. "Again! Throw everything at them!" Another wave surged, ships sacrificed, explosions painting the void with fiery streaks. But the dreadnoughts pressed on, relentless, their silence mocking the Hegemony's scramble. Kor wiped sweat from his brow, the salt stinging his eyes, and muttered, "What kind of tech is this?" Thal didn't answer, his mind racing. The Iron Fang banked hard, evading a beam that sliced a nearby corvette into slag, the wreckage glinting like broken glass. The air grew heavy, laden with the musk of exertion and the faint bite of melting insulation, as the crew fought to survive. Thal's gaze darted to the display. Varnok's flagship weathered a barrage, its armor pocked but holding, a lone titan amidst the storm. "Lieutenant, drones are down. Earth's recalibrating," Kor reported, his tone flat, resigned. Thal slammed a fist on the console, the jolt stinging his knuckles. "They're always a step ahead," he said, frustration boiling over. He patched to Varnok again. "Sir, the EMP slowed one. Barely. They're not just ships, they're something else." Varnok's reply came low, strained. "Keep pushing, Thal. I need answers, not guesses." The Admiral's voice carried a rare tremor, a crack in his iron facade, and Thal felt the weight of it settle in his gut. The fight raged on, a brutal dance of fire and ruin. A dreadnought loomed close, its hull warping light into eerie shapes, and unleashed a salvo that turned a frigate into a cloud of vapor. Thal's breath hitched, the sight a cold fist in his chest as he traced the energy wake again. Stronger now, pulsing like a living thing. "What drives you?" he murmured, the question hanging in the air unanswered. The Iron Fang twisted away, its frame creaking, the glow of its hull fading as thrusters cooled. Varnok's voice cut through again. "All units, focus fire. Give Thal's next shot a window." The fleet rallied, a ragged chorus of defiance, their cannons blazing in jagged bursts. Thal rewired furiously, sparks snapping at his hands, the scent of burnt skin sharp in his nostrils. The EMP charged, a faint whine building, but doubt gnawed at him. Would it matter? The dreadnoughts loomed larger, their shadows swallowing the wreckage, and he wondered what secrets fueled their might. As the Iron Fang steadied, Thal stared at the display, Varnok's battered flagship a beacon amidst the chaos. The EMP fired, a shimmering pulse racing outward, and one dreadnought faltered, its lights dimming briefly before flaring back. Not enough, Thal breathed, his voice a thread of despair. He leaned back, the chair's leather creaking under him, and whispered, "What are they hiding?" The question lingered, a splinter in his mind, as the Hegemony's counterstroke faltered. Adaptable, yes, but outmatched by a foe cloaked in mystery. "Gravitic mines! Detonate now!" Admiral Tarler Varnok roared, his scarred face twisted as he slammed a fist on the armrest of the Crimson Ascendant's command chair. The flagship jolted, shockwaves rippling through Earth's orbit as mines erupted, shredding space with cascading force. Sweat stung his eyes, the air heavy with the tang of burnt wiring. Beyond the viewport, the Hegemony's battered fleet clashed with Earth's dreadnoughts, their singularity projectors flashing. Hegemony ships crumpled into pinpricks of light, winking out like snuffed candles. Captain Drakan Syros, aboard the dreadnought Prometheus, countered with a barked order. "Titan formation! Collapse their spearhead!" His voice sliced through the command hub, sharp as a blade. The deck shuddered, the faint whiff of overheating circuits prickling his nose. On the laser plasma display, dreadnoughts wove into a lethal grid, their weapons painting the void with streaks of ruin. A stray shot grazed Earth's moon, carving a jagged scar across its surface, the glow searing Siros's retinas. "Focus fire! Break them!" Varnok shouted, his tone fraying. The Crimson Ascendant unleashed a barrage, cannon blasts sizzling through the dark. A dreadnought shield flickered, absorbing the hits, and Cyros smirked. "They're bleeding ships. Keep the pressure," he said to Lieutenant Mara Vex, her hands darting across the controls. The hub rattled, a deep thud echoing as singularity beams swallowed a Hegemony destroyer, its debris scattering like ash. Varnock gritted his teeth, tasting blood from a bitten lip. "Launch fighters, flank them," he snapped at his comms officer Drace, who nodded, fingers flying. Fighters streaked out, buzzing like hornets, only to vanish in a dreadnought's gravity well. The bridge trembled, the groan of strained hulls ringing in his ears. "They're slaughtering us," Drace muttered, voice low, but Varnock shot him a glare that silenced him. Cyros leaned into his headset. "Open a channel. Time they know." The comms crackled, and his voice boomed. "Varnock, stand down." "This isn't your war." Varnock's snarl cut through. "You treacherous worm, hiding behind toys." Cyros's gaze hardened. "Not toys. Weapons for the Voril. Energy beings eating stars. We built these for them, not you." "Lies!" Varnock spat, slamming the console. The air grew thick, the musk of desperation clinging to his crew. Then a rift tore open near the moon. A writhing mass of light. The Voril scout lashed out. A Hegemony frigate dissolved in seconds, its hull boiling away in a flash that stung Cyros's eyes. "See it now," Cyros pressed. "Join us, or die alone." Varnock froze, his breath rasping. The bridge fell silent, the faint crackle of static biting his ears. "You planned this?" he growled. Cyros's reply was steel. "We planned survival. Your arrogance blinded you." The scout twisted, tendrils flailing, and Varnock's fist clenched, knuckles whitening. "Prove it," he demanded. Cyros nodded to Mara. "Target that thing. Full volley." The dreadnoughts pivoted, singularity beams lancing out. The Voril scout shrieked, a soundless wail felt in the bones, and splintered into fading sparks. Varnock stared, the viewport's glow washing his face. "What are they?" he muttered, doubt creeping in. "They're the end," Cyros said. "Alliance, Varnock. Last chance." The Crimson Ascendant rocked, a stray blast jarring the deck. Drace flinched, his headset creaking but said nothing. Varnock's jaw worked, the taste of defeat sour on his tongue. "You've gutted my fleet," he rasped. "Why trust you?" "Because we're next," Cyros shot back. The void glowed with dying ships, the moon's scars a grim testament. The scout vanished, leaving a chilling stillness. Varnock's chest heaved, his mind racing, rage warring with survival. "Stand by," he growled finally, voice a thread. Cyros exhaled, the hub's air cooling his sweat-slick skin. The fleets hung there, locked in a standoff. Varnock's fighters drifted, aimless, while dreadnoughts loomed, poised to strike. Mara glanced at Cyros. "He's wavering," she said, quiet but firm. Cyros nodded. "He'll see, or he'll burn." The silence stretched, a taut wire as Varnock's doubt festered, the Voril's shadow lingering in the dark. "Fire everything! Hold the line!" Jonas Marek yelled, his gravelly voice bouncing off the lunar bunker's walls as he slammed a fist on the console. The grizzled engineer's eyes burned, fixed on the laser plasma display showing dozens of Voril entities, shimmering, writhing masses, spilling from a rift near Mars. The air tasted of stale filters and sweat, sharp and gritty as the outpost trembled from near misses. Beyond the reinforced viewport, Earth's dreadnoughts pivoted, antimatter beams slashing through the void, fracturing Voril into fleeting sparks. Marek's chest tightened, the sight searing his retinas, humanity's last gasp against an annihilation that had loomed since Varnock's doubt-filled pause. Captain Draken Cyros's voice crackled over the comms, icy and unyielding. "Varnock, decide, fight with us or burn alone." Aboard the Crimson Ascendant, Admiral Tarler Varnock gripped his chair, the leather creaking under scarred hands. His flagship limped, hull gashed, the tang of scorched circuits biting his tongue. "Torpedoes! Sink with them!" he roared, voice raw with defiance. "We're not dying for your pride, Cyros." The Hegemony remnants surged, their volleys merging with dreadnought barrages in a desperate, jagged rhythm of destruction. The war erupted into a frantic crescendo. Voril tendrils lashed out, coiling around a frigate and crushing it into glowing slag. Its debris pelted the moon, quaking the bunker's floor beneath Marek's boots. He stumbled, the jolt rattling his teeth, and shouted, "They're tearing us apart!" A dreadnought countered, its beam slicing a Voril entity into a shower of fading embers. But 3 more surged through the rift, their light pulsing like a heartbeat in the dark. The scent of overheating relays stung Marek's nose, the display flickering as data flooded in. "Flank left, pin them," Cyros ordered, his tone a blade honed by necessity. The Prometheus led the charge, antimatter streaking across the void, while Varnock's voice cut in. "Starboard units, cover their gaps." A Hegemony destroyer darted forward, torpedoes blazing, only to vanish as a Voril tendril speared it through. Its explosion flared, a silent scream against Mars's red glow. Marek's breath hitched, the sight a cold weight in his gut as lunar dust trickled from the ceiling, coating his tongue with chalky grit. "Too many. They're endless." Technician Lyra Voss, a wiry figure at the backup console, gasped, her voice trembling but steady. Marek shot her a look. "Not endless, just more than we planned," he growled, wiping sweat from his brow, the salt stinging his eyes. The display flared. Another dreadnought took a hit, its shield buckling as Voril light clawed at its hull. Cyros's command snapped through. "Hyperion, gravitic core, now!" The dreadnought veered, engines blazing white-hot, and plunged toward the rift. The sacrifice ignited. Hyperion's core detonated, a gravitic implosion that warped space into a collapsing maw. Voril entities shrieked, a soundless wail vibrating through the bunker's walls, and were sucked into oblivion. The rift shuddered, sealing shut with a flash that dazzled Marek's vision, leaving a void scarred by wreckage. "They did it," Lyra whispered, her breath fogging the console's edge. Marek's fists unclenched, the ache in his knuckles a dull throb as the quakes subsided. Cyros's voice returned, steady but worn. "Varnock, status." A ragged pause, then Varnock rasped, "Alive." "Barely. You?" Cyros exhaled, the sound heavy with relief. "Enough to fight on." The comms shifted, their tones merging into a grim resolve. "They'll come again," Varnock said, his words a reluctant vow. "And we'll be ready," Cyros replied, steel threading his fatigue. "Together?" "Together," Varnock grunted, the admission a jagged edge. Marek leaned back, the chair creaking, and stared at the display. Dreadnoughts and Hegemony ships drifted amidst the ruin, a fragile alliance forged in fire. The silence settled, thick with the musk of exertion, as he murmured, "Humanity gambled everything, and won a breath." But the Voril's retreat gnawed at him, a shadow promising worse. The rift's closure was a lock, not a wall. Cracks would widen, and the galaxy would feel the ripples. "Lyra, log it all," he said, voice low, urgent. "Every shot, every loss. They need to know what's coming." She nodded, fingers tapping, the clatter a faint echo in the stillness. Marek's gaze drifted to the viewport, Earth's blue curve glowing faintly, a beacon against the dark. They celebrated too soon, he muttered, recalling the Hegemony's swagger. Then the Dreadnoughts rise, humanity's defiance clawing victory from despair. His chest swelled, not with triumph, but with a fierce, stubborn will. Siros's voice cut through once more. "Marek, you see it?" He patched into the feed, nodding. "Yeah, we held, but it's just the start." Varnock chimed in, gruff and unyielding. "Your people built monsters to fight monsters. I'll give you that." Siros's reply was a blade of truth. "We built hope. You just didn't see it." A beat, then Varnock growled, "Next time, I will." The comms faded, leaving Marek with the weight of their words, goosebumps prickling his arms, a chill of awe and dread. The lunar outpost steadied, its air cooling, the tang of dust settling. Marek stood, boots scuffing the floor, and faced the viewport. The stars gleamed, indifferent, but Earth shone brighter, a testament to a species that turned scraps into titans, that faced annihilation and chose unity. "We're not done," he whispered, voice a vow to the void. The galaxy teetered, and humanity stood at its edge. Not conquerors, but guardians, their dreadnoughts a warning to the dark. Earth would not fall quietly. Here are 2 image prompts per part, designed to capture key moments and themes from the Galactic fleet celebrated too soon. Then Earth's dreadnoughts appeared, without being lengthy.